Yeah, it's been wonderful, their initiative. It's drawn attention to the efforts of the South African breeders, and the efforts are enormous. The amount of money, the amount of care, knowledge that has been put in. And then what's so good about it is it markets those horses. You can go along to Young Horse Performance Series and see what's good. It's really drawn everyone's attention to pedigree, source of where the horses come from. And the standard of horses in those young horse classes has improved significantly. If you look back, they've been running it over 24 years or 20 odd years, but it's not a real long time in terms of breeding.
What I find interesting is listening to veterans of the sport, whether you're talking about Johan Lotter, Wayne Dale, and they all say that it's not the easiest thing in the world to judge, even though you've got parameters that are laid out for you. It's not an exact science. It's not. It is objective, but in many ways there are subjective entities as well.
Yes, it's very objective, and one man's meat's another man's poison in this game. But in the end, the real knowledgeable people know what it takes to make a top horse, and they can spot talent early on. It gets the higher the standard of the class, the easier. If the class is very mixed or a very big range of ages, it gets tougher. But when you narrow it down to all one age group, you have an expectation of a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old. It does get easier to judge, and it's very enjoyable. Horses are allowed into the arena before the show starts to familiarize them with the arena, which works very well. They try and pick experienced course designers and feeling empathetic course designers. And the courses are hopefully gentle and simple. Nobody more experienced than Gail and Sue. They've bred themselves. They've ridden at the top level successfully themselves. And I think it could do with some thought how to promote it and get it deeper and stronger. But I say this to you, that the production of horses is very expensive and the calendar is very full.
Those two ladies have certainly never given up on the idea. And I have to say, as a lot of professional riders, we have a lot of open horses and World Cup shows. So, for me, this is just such an amazing show to bring the young horses to in between all of those events. So they're still getting the mileage they need throughout the year. And the other thing, it's a wonderful show to bring the horses down a step, so if they, especially when they start to get to 6 or 7 year olds, this is such a kind show for the young horses. So it's really amazing for building confidence. There's the arena orientation, you can take them in, you can give them the time they need. If they're a bit scared, you can give them confidence. There's always support from the Young Horse Performance Series, and it's really for the horses and for encouraging them to enjoy and love their job.
To Gail and Sue for running the Young Horse Performance Series for a number of years now. Hats off to them, because it hasn't just been a couple of years, it's been a long time. Yeah. Some of the best horses have come through here. I remember judging Capital Don Camargo at one of his first shows out at Sue van der Merwe's yard in Pretoria. And he went on to be an absolute legend of our sport. I think the Young Horse Series, yes, like you say, was adopted through the European system, and it's a worldwide system of producing the horses through the 4, 5, 6 and 7 year olds. I know it culminates in Zangerscheid Stud with the World Jumping Championships for the young horses. So I think the concept is an amazing concept. It's well supported. As a judge, we're looking at horses mainly how their rideability, what their rideability is like, their technique, their character, and trying to kind of envisage what you could see down the line. We're looking at rough diamonds, and the way that Gail has set up the system is, horses can come early. There's a little bit of a training. You can get used to the venue, introduce the young horses to the jumps, and this is the most important thing. Producing horses and giving them the time and giving them the opportunity. You read about riders that have produced horses and taken them all the way to the top level, and just that satisfaction competition, and I think the rapport that they have with their horses by the time they get there, they've gone through all the little ups and downs and bends and twirls and quills and whatever. So I think it must be the most rewarding feeling ever.
It is a very good place to produce young horses, and it's a great, they do it all overseas. It's a very big event overseas, young horse performance. And I think it's great, and I wish more people would do it here. Just for instance, I won the 7-year-old final on Capital Coleman, and he went on and he's jumped World Cups with me. So I think breeding in South Africa has evolved unbelievably. So Lavubu is jumping on the international stage now with Robert Whittaker. He did with Bronwyn de Santos and Don Camarco. So, I mean, there are a lot of pedigrees now where horses are... their lineage has all gone to the top, and there are many studs around now that are breeding top quality jumping horses.
Finally, Dom, speaking to Jason Phillips the other day, who's been very, very busy in this series, talking to him about the levels of competition overseas. Now with Ronnie Healy being over there and quite a few people having qualified for Aachen. I mean, are those horses up with the best in the world? It looks like they could be.
We'll have to see. Yeah. That Babisi, Bronwyn's horse, at the World Cup final was astounding. And then we watched her jump at Rotterdam, and she was unbelievable. So, do we know that those horses can jump that big? We've never really asked them to jump that big in this country, but I'm sure they can. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone. I think we have very, very talented horses. I just think that we don't have real 160 classes here. So maybe that's the next step for us.
Would a horse like Magic Boy possibly have the scope to jump that height, and even Ronnie's other horse that went head to head with Thomas in the South African final at KEP?
Yeah, definitely. I think they've definitely got scope. The question is whether they've got scope and they can go fast enough, because the sport has evolved so much. I mean, those are Ferraris. They're Formula One car horses, They don't only jump 165, but they do it galloping.
Yeah, I must admit we were absolutely in awe of what we saw at Windsor. We weren't supposed to be there, but we got there a few days before badminton, and to see a guy like, what is Fuchs's first name? Martin Fuchs. I mean, you think to yourself, can they go faster than they're going already? Because we know how fast the Americans go, and they take a second or two off. It's just mind-boggling.
So if you look at that Scott Brash's new horse, that Hello Folly, the little chestnut mare, I mean, I don't think she's more than 16 hands. And at the European Championships, he lost his reins around the corner to the really big treble. But that little horse, he was so deep in, and it was 2 really big steps to a big oxer. And that's what they've bred nowadays. They've bred little horses with huge engines, with loads of scope, and they can get with lots of care. They've got to be careful as well.
Okay, so to put the lid on it, how on earth does one quantify the value of a live stream? Because we know that the country is a global village. You can be anywhere and watch live streaming.
Yeah, I think the live streaming thing is new, and it's going to grow. It's wonderful because, as you say, anyone can watch anywhere. There's amazing things about it. But as we start to live stream, I see school sports are being live streamed. There's so much live streaming. How much time does anybody have in a day to sit and watch? What you can do is obviously spool back and quickly watch a particular horse you wanted to watch, or watch just one class. You're posing many valid questions.
It's no longer 7 o'clock carte blanche is coming on. You can watch this when you want to watch it.
Yes.
And you can watch the replay when you want to watch it. So
Yes.
the versatility of the actual live stream
Yes.
is greater than that.
Yes, it is. I mean, live streaming is extraordinary how it brings everybody home, and there's very big value in it.